Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Right. Okay. Hello, everyone. Back again. Hopefully, that will be a bit more glitch free.
Yes, and I'll
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Right. Hello, Mrs.
Hello.
Right.
If I've got my headphones in, I can hear you, but the mic doesn't work, or it says it doesn't work.
It does. We can hear you.
You're a little bit better than you were. I just have to bring the camera closer too, and
Yeah.
we might need a few practice. Right? It's probably me not pressing a button somewhere, I should imagine. But,
I can hear you. I can definitely hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all right. Nice and clear. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, you went to it. I noticed on your Facebook, you went to a really cool event. What was it? Like a jury service?
Who was that?
me. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, I did. I'm just doing a little bit of a share because obviously we had lots of people that had joined us, and I wanted to make sure everyone finds the link again. So just a little share. So for a change of flavour, we'll go back to the Ironworks because we need to talk about the basement a lot more. But I went to a theatre show essentially, but it was in a blow up pop-up. It was huge, had a bar and everything in there, and it was essentially a jury service. It was based around the crimes of Jeffrey Dahmer in the US, and then in the UK based on the crimes of the gentleman that it was around. I don't know how to say it without being a trigger warning, but basically the acts of Jeffrey Dahmer, but the UK version, and they'd correlated and created a new case, and they you had to decide whether this person was guilty or not guilty based upon beyond reasonable doubt. And when I tell you, I was fuming because I get very competitive, you see, and the evidence was all circumstantial in this mocked up case. It was all circumstantial, and it was supposed to be because it's meant to leave everyone kind of a little bit hung of what happened. And it was all circumstantial, and there was no reason that beyond reasonable doubt wasn't there, and it should have been a not guilty, but there was a lot of people there that went guilty, but whatever. Whether he did it or not, I believe he did it. This man who this fiction version, but the evidence was all circumstantial. But yeah, true crime. I like.
Really good.
Yeah, it was really interesting. But yeah, so as I had a really busy weekend, so it was a change of pace. Let me tell you, from a paranormal investigation, but it was interesting nevertheless. And it was
did they find him guilty?
It's called Murder Trial Live. It's called, and they travel up in the country. Well, that's the thing. We as you sit on a table of 12 people, and you are essentially a jury, and then each table comes to their own verdict. But it is set out as a court case. You plead the oath as well at the beginning. So everything that you would do if you was a jury member, you would do. And then they go on the majority, and the majority said not guilty. But I think what they're going to do, there's a lot of research going on there, which I find really fascinating. But throughout the year, they're going to correlate all the data they've collected. And I'm sure they're going to find some really interesting themes there. And then overall, at the end of the year, they'll let you know whether overall he was guilty or overall he was not guilty. But you won't find out till the end. But it's it's mocked, so you don't know the kind of the body of it all. You just know what they're showing you. But it was very good. So yeah, quite interesting. But I was a bit tired because I'm an old lady now.
That's a lot of concentrating to do, isn't it? In one go.
Yeah. My ADHD brain was not having a good time because I'm like tapping and I'm fiddling and I want to stand up, but I sat there, I did a good job, and I got all the way through. But yeah, it was a really interesting experience, I would say, really quite interesting. But yeah, a little bit different to the paranormal. I think I really enjoyed the fact that this particular investigation went on until that went on until 10. It was quite refreshing because usually I'm used to getting up, leaving at 3 o'clock in the morning, finding a 24-hour McDonald's on the way home, having that, and then rolling into bed as the birds are chirping. So it was really refreshing. If I'm honest, I still had the
Yeah.
McDonald's. I'm not gonna lie, I still had the McDonald's. But yeah, it was a bit of a change of pace compared to what I'm usually used to.
Yeah. They look really fun. Look very theatrical.
Always really.
So a lot of dry ice there and stuff as well.
I think they did
It was
that
the
on
pop-up
purpose
thing that
because
got me. The inflatable.
Oh.
You're in a big inflatable.
Mm.
it was huge, but I think the smoke and the lights together stopped you from taking photos or videos. That's what it was there for. Because it was it was inside of a scaffold, like a cube, and all the way around was pink, blue, and white lights, and then there was just smoke being pumped out all the time. And when I looked at my photos, you could barely see anything that was going on in the middle. It was really skewed by the lights, so they've done that on purpose. Because I suppose once you've seen it once, you've seen it.
Yeah.
So if you're going to share it, then what's the point? People aren't going to really want to go for their own experience. So I think that's why they did that. But whatever, sports.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sports.
No, I think you know, a bit of, it would have been really cool. What I'd expect is maybe like have a button, a big red button that you could press, you know, and then like a trap door opens and he falls into a pit of vipers.
There's always one that takes it too far, isn't there? There's one that definitely takes it too far. If the world is ever overturned, then we're not going to put Phil as head of parliament because there'll be vipers everywhere.
I was going to say, now we know what he'd be like as a super villain. It's like, it's not the shark tank underneath, it's the viper's pit.
Yeah.
That's the choice. It's Tipple.
Guilty. Yeah, pit of vipers. I'm just imagining it. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine would be, let's talk about your emotions. That would be my supervillain story. Let's talk about emotions. They'll be like, no, keep away from me. Vipers are emotions.
Yeah. Was that? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's in James Bond when he said that just villain, wasn't it? Blofeld. He said to James Bond. He said, James Bond said, "Oh, you expect me to die? Was it expect me to escape? Do you?" He said, "No, Bond, I expect you to die." Imagine I'd be a great Blofeld. Yeah, but I'd have to have maybe a terrier on my lap instead of a cat or something. Yeah.
Yeah, you never see villains with dogs, do you? It's always cats and sharks and vipers and spiders.
Yeah.
Never dogs.
Yeah, always. They never got like a yappy little terrier on them.
Yeah, and that would be the worst, wouldn't it? A pack of living Jack Russells.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd put my earphones. You'd need earphones anyway, wouldn't you? What way to go? Can you imagine? Yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about? Anyway,
we've
Ironworks. We were talking.
Yes. Yes, we went on a little.
Yeah, the thing you've been talking about for the last hour before I derailed everything, basically.
No, it wasn't you. The signal was terrible. That's all that was.
Yeah.
So yes, so we were talking about the basement. So Wayne who was in the chat previously. He had a really interesting experience. So I will say, Adam, who was in the basement all evening, he was showing people the CCTV and kind of showing people what to do and how to do it. So he stayed with that equipment throughout the evening, which meant that he got to see all the different groups come and go, which was really interesting for him because he was able to tell and share how many people picked up on the same thing separately and individually. But with Wayne Seedon, they had done an experiment. I think that they had a pendulum go in. He had an EMF. I'm not sure if he's in the chat anymore, but he had an EMF meter go in. He had some trigger objects, But one of the things that they had noticed, that they had secured a camera on the pipes, Phil, that you was talking about a little while ago before we got disconnected.
Oh,
They had
okay.
placed a camera. Adam had put it up there, and he'd made sure it weren't going anywhere. And all of a sudden, they were saying that Wayne's team was in the basement, and the whole basement lit up white. And when they've looked, the CCTV, the camera had fallen off the pipes. They have no idea how it happened because it had been secured there with, I think he said tape, but the like electrical tape. It had fallen off the pipe. The pipe had the camera had then moved, and the lens was up against the pipe. So that's what made the bright white light flood the room. But they have no idea. No one was near it. They have no idea how it moved or what affected it or what not. They said there was nothing there to impact it in any way, and it shouldn't have happened. They can't explain what happened.
Can I ask, the white light, is that what was seen on the CCTV screen, or was there an actual white light in the room when that happened?
No, it was the screen. So they'd noticed
Right.
that the screen had one corner had obviously where the lens had gone up against the wall. It had basically reflected from the wall back onto the camera, which then had caused the light that had come from it. And that had lit up that area, because where the screen was in one of the darker parts of the room, wasn't it? It was up on the left
It
side.
was.
So
It
it
was.
lit that up, and they'd noticed that because obviously the chairs were round in a circle in the centre of the room. So they'd noticed that, but they have no idea how that piece of equipment got moved or knocked.
It was definitely a very, very funny corner, that was. A lot of different. I mean, when I put a thermometer on it, there was a up to 4-degree difference in temperature from the ambient temperature in the center of the room to that corner there. Now, I didn't put it straight onto the pipe because it could have been maybe it looked to me to be maybe a gas pipe, but very not used. Definitely not used. It was so rusted and decrepit, and there's no way that would pass a gas inspection. Because it was flanged as well. That's how old it was. So that basically it's like, flanged together with bolts. So it was very, very old. But yeah, 4 degrees is an awful lot of temperature. It was a lot colder than the rest of the room. Like Alan was mentioning before, portals are another thing, because when we talk about entities and we talk about things coming through, ghosts, energies, portals is something which, theoretically could be the conduit for these things coming through. I mean, is that something you think could be?
When you say a conduit of spirit, like a origin of entry, do you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I believe that whatever is there has been there for a very long time. I do believe that what is there has links to that building. There's nothing there that felt out of place. It felt like it belonged, but there was definitely energy there that didn't feel of this kind of almost like this. I don't know how to say it. I'm very much that I believe that energy is energy, and I'm not one of those to call demons or anything like that. I believe that if you're a hole in life, the chances are you're going to be an a-hole in spirit. But I do believe that there are different types of energy. So we have, elementals, human, and other. And I do feel there is an energy of other there, but I don't feel like it's anything negative as such. It was just a very peculiar space.
It was a mishmash, wasn't it? It was a mishmash of energies there. It was.
Yes,
yeah.
and I want to say as well, Alan's correct. There is a lot of residual there. There's a lot of like stone tape theory there, where there's a lot of things that kind of they're on repeat. You're aware of it. They're just playing over and over. So there is lots of intellectual entities where there is that communication, intellectual communication evidence, but there is also a replay there as well, like through time. It's really weird when you first turn up because there is layers and you're so aware of those layers, and being able to break through those and kind of make sense of what is happening, what is going on. I think that could be a little bit of like disarming at first, but you are able to make sense of it.
Yeah.
I think.
No, I agree. Just want to touch upon. We went into the basement, but that isn't the first time or the last time, should I say, that we went. We went also a second time, didn't we? Not for as long. It didn't seem for as long anyway. But when everyone was shuffling down the staircase to go into the cellar, there was a lovely lady that went into, felt energies, and well, I was following behind her in my bumbling old way, and I was like, and she went into this. I think it was an old toilet because it was tiled from floor to ceiling, and these white tiles, and quite narrow, small room. And I just want to explain my point of view. What happened when she went in? She just stopped, and her profile was in the doorway inside the room, and it made me stop because she was just stationary there, not saying anything at first. And I said, "You okay?" And she said, "He died in here." And I was like, now this is not verbatim, okay, because my memory is, but it is on the video what she's actually said. I made a small short of it, but because and I said to her, I said, "Who died in here?" And was it a man or a woman? And she said, "A man. A man died in here." And I said, "Right, okay." I said, do you know when? Or she said, "Not that long ago. Not that long ago." I'm sure she said that. And then she started it scared me. It did scare me. She started reaching down towards the floor because I thought she was going to fall or topple, and I thought, "Oh my dear," and she just went towards and touched the tiled floor. As she did, she got very, very. It got to the. Do you know? It springs to mind to say possessed, but I don't want to say possessed because I got too much regard for the lady, and I don't think she's the sort to get possessed. But it did have a effect on her, and quite, I think, a detrimental effect. It was like kind of something. Something was trying to encroach on her. I so wish you were there, Kerry. I really do wish you were there because you would have picked up instantly on it. And then she just went into kind of, her daughter came up and said, Mum, you okay? And that's when the energy must have known the daughter was there and just like kind of try to make a run for it. And I got this all on camera, and I was like, wow. It wasn't until I played it back that I noticed that when she was being hugged by her daughter saying, send it away, or go away, it was then that I heard her on film say, Lucifer, it's Lucifer. And I thought, what?
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
I wish you were there.
I think it'd be interesting for me to watch that back. I know that the lady in question, she has she's developing her spiritual communication side, and I think that what she was feeling from spirit was a bit overwhelming for her. The feelings that she was having was quite difficult. The way that that spirit was showing itself to her, she found very hard in some aspects. She did do some work in the evening with some of the spiritual mediums there, and was able to ground herself a bit. I think the best person to be able to talk to about that would have been her. But in terms of, I think from my personal experience, did I feel anything like that there? No, I didn't. But that's not to say that she didn't experience something that gave her that was her interpret. I think when it comes to mediumship, it's really important to know that the person that is the medium for that, it's their interpretation of what they're being shown. Yeah, it takes a lot of work to kind of make sense of that in a way that makes sense for that person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking away from her experience, but I know in the conversations that I had with her, she was still very, very new and making sense of her experiences. So I think that's important for us to know in terms of like what she shares. But I think that I can understand the feelings of I think she'd picked up as well on a young boy, and I think that's what she was really struggling with. This young boy that had been that had come to harm there, and she was struggling with that feeling and those emotions that come with that, and wanting to help them. But I think it's really important. I go back to David and Sue, who were organising the event, pivotal really in making the event happening and doing that fundraising for Ironworks, and they were able to do some work with her and ground her. So I think yeah, I think in terms of that, I think it'd be good for me to watch that bit back, because I think at that point I'd actually made my way down to the basement with the rest of the group, and all I had heard once everyone had got to the bottom, and bearing in mind we've already said that this location was on four floors, and then the top floor above that, we were all the way down to like below the first floor. Those are quite a few steep stairs. And I'm not built for speed or climbing, if I'm honest with you. And my legs felt like Shetland ponies by a couple of days afterwards. But I'd gone down those stairs, and then all of a sudden I heard her really cry. So I was like, getting back up the stairs. So I'd caught the tail end. And obviously we have, in terms of due diligence, it's really important that we look after that person, and that was my focus at that point, was to kind of get her out of that kind of energy kind of state and kind of ground her a bit. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting to look back and watch that. I think you've shared it on the group as well, haven't you?
I have shared it on the group. Yeah, I have done. It was quite, because she went into some detail, because I asked her when she was in this sort of trance state. Now, I say trance state because I'm not like Kerry. I'm not a medium. I'm basically an explorer and experiencer. So that's what I do. But it seems like she was in a state to me, and she did mention, because I asked her what happened when she bent down to touch the floor, and she told me that the chap did commit suicide there. I'm not prepared to tell you how, not on this, because it's not very nice. But so it is. Whatever energies were there were quite negative. I think were quite negative. I'm not saying it is loose. I'm not saying any of that. It was maybe something that I just caught, like an EVP or something, maybe. But I just found that odd.
To be fair, you don't know what drives someone to do that, do you? So I mean, you know, to do that would bring heavy energy anyway, and if she's not expecting it, it's caught her out. And because like you say, down in a cellar, you don't really expect you don't really expect to come across that kind of thing anyway.
This was on top floor, so I was in the cellar when this happened.
I thought it was down the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was at the bottom. I was already there.
You were at the bottom. Phil was. I've got it the wrong way around. Oh right.
Yeah,
okay.
I descended already. But then that's when I heard the upset, and he was back on the top floor that this had kind of taken place. I was like,
I've got it
dragging
flipped
myself
around.
up. Yeah, no, it was. I mean, the building itself, like I said, is huge. The building is huge, and there's so many different layers of energy there. Like trying to make sense of that was one of the biggest things that we kind of experienced. But yeah, there was a lot there. There was a lot of interaction with spirit. But again, I think what I found so interesting about the location is you have mediums that work and you've got sensitives, and usually it's quite a subjective experience. But because we pulled in all those different experiences, personal experiences in terms of people's abilities, so we had the scientific happening, we had video, photo, we had the sensitives collectively gathering evidence on one energy. That was a massive that showed how well the group was working together, because we were working with one spirit and we were all able to, in our own way, be it through the K2, the spirit box, with temperature gauge, whatever we were using. The only thing that I found I wish we had more on was the CCTV.
Yeah, that would have been good, because there was orbs on there on that CCTV.
I was mindful. Yeah, I was mindful of the fact that we just got down there, and it was a bit dusty down there, and I was a bit mindful. But what I was really hoping for, and what I was trying to gear everyone up, is having some kind of obstruction or obscurity over one person. That would have been amazing if we could have caught something like that.
And another thing as well, that do you remember the corridor that I was talking about with that chap when he was coming out with sentences? Upstairs, the one that runs behind the room, and I was with Laura. Well, Laura said a funny thing. When she felt these energy and this coldness coming up through the floor from the cellar area, she said something which is on film. And I thought at the time, that's a bit odd. Why would she say that? And she said it almost felt like an animal. She said it feels like an animal run past my legs, or an animal spirit. It felt like animal. And I mean, she's listening to this, kind of like leave a comment, just just to confirm. I'm sure she said that. I know she said animal. It felt like an animal, like a beast. And it wasn't until later on, in the cellar, I spoke to that lady that also co-runs it or works there in the place.
Yes.
And I was chatting with her, and evidently the Ironworks used to have like a farriers down there for horses.
Oh wow!
In the cellar, that's where the horses used to come in, and they used to have the shoes redone. Yeah.
You know that.
So,
they might well have had dogs as well. If you've got horses, you've normally got dogs around as well. So, like the farriers very often have dogs and things. So, so he could still be shoeing horses down in the basement.
Good point. Honestly,
this location has so much links to World War One, World War Two, Ironworks, a restaurant, orchestra was there. We were saying before that when we were on the top floor. We had a woman on the spirit box, and she kept saying to me, "I can hear music coming through." And I said, "Well, that's typical of like this particular spirit box. Some people set their spirit box up so you have no interference from radio, but I am not that tech savvy, so mine does, and it's kind of like not very much. It doesn't go over more than one, maybe two frequencies." But she went, "No, this is an orchestra. I can hear an orchestra playing," and she said, "And it's playing over the top of these." These frequencies. So I was like, oh, okay, just kind of made a mental note of it. And then when we done the debrief, they said that floor particularly was the restaurant, and there was an orchestra that would play up there.
Strange.
So it was just really, honestly, it was fascinating. It is the most activity. I think for those that come along as a guest, who were, so as I said, and I've said it a few times, but I want to make sure I plug as much as possible, but David and Sue, who are from the Essex UFO and Paranormal group, who did the fundraising for Ironworks, which is a community establishment that supports the community through arts, and there's a great cafe there, and like it's for everyone to use. It's fantastic. But when we were I've lost my track now. When we was doing the debrief, that's where I was, wasn't it? We've spoken about the orchestra playing. There was another reason. So that's when she had said that, but she'd also mentioned when we was doing the debrief as well, that there were Oh, that's another thing with Anne, when we were picking up on Anne, who was the lady that had played a hand in her own passing. Another thing that we got was Lady of the Night, and we weren't the only people that picked that up on that floor. Another group that was separate from us had also picked up on the Lady of the Night, and it turned out that that actual location is allegedly known back in, you know, all that time in that the world wars and stuff, to have diamonds hidden on the property. There was a lot of alcohol that was being sold illegally. There was lots of things that were going on in that building. So I just think it was really interesting. The location itself was fascinating. And again, we're going to go back to the guests. That's what I was saying. So the guests that come along, for those that have never done a paranormal investigation before, were spoiled, because for me, I've been doing investigations for 10, 11 years now, and that was one of the best ones I've ever done. So for those that have attended for the first time, absolutely, I'm not sure how they're going to beat it. I'm not sure.
It was good.
They've been spoiled. Absolutely spoiled. So,
do you think that's just because the location's not had a lot of investigations done on it, so it's fresh?
I do think that there's probably an element, because I am really aware of the fact that we all did pick up on things similar to each other. It can be argued, just for argument's sake, that we are picking up on one another as opposed to the paranormal. There is that risk because, you know, kinetic energy and stuff. But that being said, there hasn't been any investigations, like you said. But I just think because it's so old and so much has gone on, that it's just a wealth of, like a hotbed, basically, of lots of different energies. But I will say, because like I said, this building is a beautiful building and it has a wonderful purpose within the community. There is people that work there, in particular a lady that was joining us on the live earlier on, who shot off, who was that beautiful lady who kept us well and truly hydrated throughout the evening, has never picked up on anything before, has never felt uncomfortable in there before, has never felt anything in there before, was running around. Bearing in mind we were all in the dark, as it was getting darker, she was up and down the stairs, going into the basement, all in her stride, bringing us water, beautiful water, by the way, it was very tasty. But yeah, she had no care in the world, moving around the building by herself to different floors, not knowing really where we were, because these rooms are massive, and there's like partition walls in some parts of the building, or there's a flag that's being hung in the middle of the floor in another, and there's, like Phil said, there's one room that has a corridor inside of it, but it literally comes from that room out to where the door is of the entry of the room. It literally runs adjacent. There's no purpose to it. So we were everywhere and all over the place, and she found us with no problem, and she was all bringing us water and stuff, and she had no worries whatsoever. So yeah, maybe the paranormal was found because we were there to find it, possibly, because she doesn't.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
It was a really amazing experience, and we do hope that there's going to be more opportunities for us to be able to go back and do more there. And yeah, and if there's ways of being able to fundraise for the organisation further, then that can only do good within the community as well, and bring more provisions or allow them to continue the work they do within the community. So yeah, however that comes, that'd be great.
Do you know, I would like to suggest really doing a all-nighter there, but just a small team.
Yeah, who knows? Possibly. Let's see if it. I always believe if it's meant to be, it will never pass us by. Hopefully, it's meant to be. Hopefully, we can make it happen. Absolutely. I mean, as a team, we've got some fantastic events coming up. We have loads going on at Colchester Castle in up until March next year, and some and the Victorian Manor House as well, that's nearby. And we've got lots of kind of one-off experiences as well, first of its kind, coming up for us. So there's loads for us to share. But absolutely, I'd love to be able to do an all-nighter there.
Absolutely. That'd be fantastic. Oh my word, that'd be brilliant.
It here first, if we could. Hear it here first.
Yeah,
We'll
no,
make
that
it
would be
happen.
really good. I was blown away because as I say, I spend most of my time in woods and forests. Um, and you do get spirits in woods and forests as well. But it's the quantity in such a condensed area like this was in this Ironworks. There was always something going on. I can remember, sort of walking along, just from one room to the next, and I could hear you guys. There was something going on, like shouting, and oh my god, something's going on. There was something going on, Kerry, all the while. It was ever so odd, Natalie. It was like kind of, yeah.
Do you think the
And again,
building was showing off?
Probably. They were like, you want ghosts? We'll give you ghosts.
I was gonna say, it's like, oh, this is
Yeah.
exciting. Let's have a party with all this, and who's showing off?
Absolutely. Genuinely, and again, we were spoiled. I don't like I said, I've been doing it for a long time. I mean, and Woods was back in the day when before paranormal investigating was the in thing to do. We loved a nighttime investigation in the woods somewhere. You'd have to be careful because they're all dogging places, but you dodge those quite quite quickly.
Yeah.
But woods were fantastic places, and we used to always be in them, and but again, I think the most fascinating thing about this particular location was the quantity of activity that was being experienced, not just by ourselves, but by other teams, because there was, I think, 35 guests there altogether. I think we were split up into 3 groups, and there was always something going on, and we all experienced something. But Melissa's in the chat, and she said she'll definitely be there next time. Absolutely, Melissa. I will send you the details. If we're able to do it again, then I will make sure I let you know and send that over to you. It'd be good to see you and Simon come along. That'd be great if we're able to do that again. But yeah, it was really good.
And then we had the final thing, the cherry on the cake, right, Natalie, was we all went for the debrief downstairs. So all 3 groups, wasn't it, were downstairs, all having a few crisps, cup of tea, drink, cold drink, whatever it was, just sitting around debriefing, having a chat, talking about their experiences, one group at a time. And what really shone out was we were all separate within the building on different levels. We had no interaction with any other group other than passing by on the odd occasion in the corridor. And just like, I'd be like, oh, sorry, it's my camera. I got you on the side, did it? Sorry, it's my camera. That's my tripod. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, that was it. There was no discussion as such. There was no, in the debrief, all of these sightings and accounts of what people have experienced within the building all coalesced into one single, my god, we heard that, we saw that, that was the same as what we experienced.
So you've got some correlation between all the groups sort of picking up similar things rather than it all being different. So is that what you're saying, that they were all agreeing that we've had that? Oh wow.
And they married, and that's one thing I'll say with Adam remaining in the basement. We went after we finished ours. We were the last people in the basement. I was like, "What? What's going on?" He goes, "No, I'm not going to tell you. Wait until everyone joins up." Mate, it's such a sport. And he's like, "No. Wait until the debrief." I was like, "Okay, fine." So we were, and then when we got in the car, he said, "You all got more than what you said in the debrief, because we'd all been on all the floors and we all experienced so much that actually what happened in the basement," he said, "you all experienced the same thing, but you all didn't speak about it as much as you could have." He said, "because if you did, then you would be surprised, but every single person picked up on the man in the basement, and they all saw him the same way."
Wow.
Yeah. So I thought that was amazing. So, but he said if you spoken about that bit a bit more, but I think the investigation, we were only there for a small amount of time. There was a lot of people and a lot of space to move around on. By the time we finished, I think everyone was a bit kind of depleted, like energy had been depleted. So we were welcoming the kind of the sit down and the chat, but I think at the same time we're all kind of like trying to remember everything off the top of our head. You know, those that did use their piece of paper and pen and write things down, amazing. We did have a gentleman in our team who did do that, luckily enough, bless him. But yeah, so it was really fascinating, and being able to debrief, and we had some really interesting people as well that are linked to the Essex UFO and Paranormal group. They're based in Southend, and they've got some amazing speakers there as well. So, but there was a lot of people with them that brought their own unique kind of like, I want to say spice, but that's not the right word. But they brought their own unique kind of flair to their own investigation styles that kind of enhanced everything else, because everyone was so different. There were so many different personalities, and I think when I talk about, you know, as those that are sensitive, where we interpret the information that we receive, everyone did it so uniquely, but they still made sense. They still married up, which made it even more like juicy. It made it even more like meaty. So it was really good. Absolutely.
Yeah, there was that one chap that he was another. I think he was another medium. That older chap with the leather jacket, and
yeah, he was amazing.
Absolutely,
he was really
like,
he was in our team. We were very lucky. We had I mean, everyone there was great, but I think the team that we had been put with just worked so well together. I think that's what made our experience as good as it was. And I think even when we even kind of got to know each other to the point we recognised where some people needed that break and other people can carry on and do their investigation, it didn't take away from the investigation if, you know, a couple of us just chatted about what we'd got so far while the others went off. It's clearly because the evidence that you got, Phil, with the two gentlemen and Laura was phenomenal. So yeah, really good.
Yeah,
just
really enjoyed it.
Connection. We need to make sure we get that Wi-Fi. Yeah. Well, even on the live,
we can also tell there was a restaurant on site, because Kerry talking about juicy, spicy, tasty. You were like, well, bueno.
Yeah, mucho bueno. It was. They did put a nice little spread on. To be fair, the owners, bless them. But I didn't get to. We never really spent much time on that floor. We were on all the other floors and I was spitting feathers.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so thankful to the water lady. I think that's why I focused so much on the water lady, because she was like this little godsend coming out of nowhere, a darkened hallway. There she is with this really cold jug of water going, anyone wants water? I'm like, yes, we do. Thank you. And off she disappeared into the night. For all we know, she could have been one of the spirits of the building.
Yeah, I was going to say, appeared was she real or was she?
Yeah, that's right. She did, honestly. Yeah, she appeared like Mr. Ben out of the cartoon, Mr. Ben, if anyone remembers that.
Yeah. Water? You're like, yes. How did you know? Perfect. Thank you. I'm pumped. And we're all there, just like so thankful for it, because it was quite a warm evening, and where we were all talking and moving around, and we're all getting a bit dried throat, and so she was a little godsend. Up and down the stairs. How she must be like a whippet.
Absolutely.
The way she moves up and down the stairs.
Fit as anything.
Yeah.
It's me dragging me poor limp leg up and down the stairs. It's like, she was like, I got to the floor and she was there.
Yeah. Out of nowhere. Water? Absolutely. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. You absolute dream. So yeah, she was. But they were so lovely there. I think it just helped, didn't it? Because you know they were quite welcoming and allowed us to use that space and stuff. So it was really good.
I was going to say, clearly it's a very positive. It's a very, even though it's old, it's obviously got its own positive energy to it that's attracting a lot of more positive sort of people in it, and it's
absolutely. It is such a welcoming. Yeah. And they do all the arts in there. They have art displays in there. They have events that go on throughout the
graffiti. Got graffiti, haven't they, there as well? And
as in actual art. They have a piano outside that people off the street can go and learn to play piano. When we actually turned up for the first time, there was a gentleman out on the piano, and he had his phone, and he was teaching himself the piano on the piano outside using the keys on his phone. Melissa's just said her children love it there. It is fantastic. It is a family friendly community centre, and it's all about, and they have all independent artists in there. They have art everywhere. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. And they were so close to shutting down last year. And the community was up in uproars. And I think this is where all the different types of fundraising is coming into play, because it helps continue their work within the community, and it's needed. Creativity and art is something that we're lacking when it comes to our young people. And it creates a really safe space, and it's affordable. It's really affordable in there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, and I think, at any time, I think it's money well spent, going to places like that, because one, so much activity, and also it just helps the community so much. Brilliant.
Absolutely, yeah. So, Melissa agrees. She said she's so glad that it's been saved as well. Yeah, it's fantastic. So our plans are that hopefully if it's meant to be, we'll be going back. But we do have some other investigations coming up as a team as well. But we're also open to collabs. If there are other paranormal teams that want to collab with us, we cover the UK, we cover the South, and Natalie covers the entirety of the North. She doesn't, but she does. For me, it's North.
Everything else north of London.
Yeah, basically. But there is someone within the team in different parts of the country, so we're open to collaborations. If anyone wishes to, then feel free to get in touch, and we can make that happen. It'd be really exciting. We're really enjoying working with other members of the paranormal community. I think sometimes it's needed, isn't it? It's always great to have your team and you go out with your team, but I think it's good to work with other people, because you get to learn. I think it brings up narratives and conversations and discussions around things that you probably wouldn't be open to otherwise. I know that, with the connection between, Natalie has always brought some amazing things. I've had some fantastic conversations. Well, actually, do you know what? I've listened to a lot of what Natalie is. Very interesting lady, and she has a wonderful brain. I love listening to it work. And Phil, I've never really considered Dogman. So that's just an example of people that I'm learning from all the time. It's good to do that, as well as, and that's just the tip of the iceberg for you. You're very fascinating.
Well, thank you. Flattery will get you everywhere. No, but
I
agree with you. I think it's great, and I think our mix we have within the team is a good mix, and I think mixing with other teams is also good, because all of these like separate investigations that people have, like I have separate investigations, Dogman and cryptids, and yet getting on with inside with your team as well, it kind of like brings a new swing, like you say. It brings a new edge to it, a new way of working, looking, trying to understand. The main question for everyone is, what are we dealing with here? What is it? And that's all what we're really here for: understanding, helping, and most of all, trying to find what this enigma called paranormality is.
I like that, paranormality. That's it is, yeah. It's normality, but on the edges.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's it can be. It's like Kerry said an interesting thing when she said we were walking about and stuff was happening. So we're sat here glitching away on a podcast in that building. Just suppose it's empty now. Is that stuff still happening now? Or is it only happening when we're actually present there to witness it? Is it using us? Is it only manifesting when we are there? Is it on the fringes of our comprehension that it just happened, or is it happening now? Are there horses in the cellar? Is there a chap in the in grief stricken, or I think actually no, I'm wrong. He passed into the light, I was told. But are there ghosts there or entities there now? Is Kerry right? Does it need us? Is it an association? Does it need us? That's interesting.
What, does it need the light of consciousness in order to exist, basically?
Yeah. Does it need us to exist?
Yeah. Or is it mirroring our consciousness?
Yes.
Or being activated by consciousness? Would it work if you still had cameras? Because it's like, you know, if you had like CCTV 24-hour cameras, and it's like, although you're not watching that camera still acts like observation. So even if you were observing it through a passive medium, would that still affect the location? You'd never know, would you? Because you wouldn't be able to not observe it in a weird kind of way.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like that. Yeah, no, that's completely right. Because you're still not there observing it. Yes, the camera might be picking it up, but then, you know, it's like that light experiment they did, the double slit experiment. You know, the light goes through, and you know, but it's only when it's observed that the light pattern, the wave pattern, comes into play.
Yeah.
So
the camera acts as an observation anyway. So your intention, even passively, is still observation using the camera. So
but a lot of times it doesn't. Yeah, but a lot of times we have cameras everywhere. You think about the amount of cameras there are everywhere. Shops, on us corners of streets, lampposts, traffic lights, cameras everywhere. Wouldn't you think that overnight, worldwide, wouldn't you think that there would be apparition? Now that I know there is some, right, on YouTube and other TikTok and stuff of like stuff seen, but it's very tiny minority. If there is the amount of, I mean, the dead must, let's face it, the dead must outnumber us. They must, you know, they got to. So, wouldn't they be bumping into each other? Wouldn't be catching that on camera somewhere, everywhere? I mean, I've got blink. You would think so. I've got blink cameras out the front door, you know, for when the Amazon driver just flings a parcel at the front door. There you go, mate. But you know, I rarely catch anything of like that, apparitions or anything. You know, I catch rods, which is strange. I catch a lot of rods, flying rods, but that's like another entity thing. But a lot of people put that down to moths. But I don't actually capture. Why don't we? With all the cameras we got, why don't we?
That is a thought, actually, because if you think about it, it's like if you were tuned into that stuff, you almost can't go anywhere without picking something up. It's like I've never been into any building anywhere where I've not had anything at all. It's very rare, and like you say, to have the cameras not pick up anything. It's or like you say, perhaps that is the difference, is like the camera doesn't have a consciousness, and like you say, it's a consciousness that's pinging things. So it'd be interesting if you've got cameras, mind you, if you've got cameras where there's a lot more people, I suppose it would be a lot harder to notice the paranormal stuff anyway, you know, because of the busyness of it. It's
like people in comas. People in comas, they actually, their brain waves flatline. They flatline. That's it. But they still have dreams, revelations, experiences within that coma. They still come out with sometimes like kind of a almost prophetic dreams, and they're right. Something's, you know, happened in their life in the next few days because of that dream they've had. But their brain activity during a coma has been nil, void, nil point, nothing. So they're asking the fact: is our not consciousness, our brain is there, but our mind is our mind external.
Is that the non-local consciousness theory thing?
Yeah,
some spirituality has a consciousness and a non-local consciousness. So you've got the consciousness in your body, but you've also got the outside consciousness that doesn't need the body. That's complex spiritual philosophical.
Yeah. maybe
it's a bit to run my brain on this.
I'm running out of tea now. Do you want to? Should we wrap this up for tonight? Do you want to wrap this up for tonight? And then I'll tell you what we should do. Maybe even like kind of drop in. Maybe do a live again. Just have a chin wag and just run through a few things.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, because if I've had a cup of tea and some biscuits, my brain wouldn't be melting about now, because that's the kind of thing I normally think about. But it's like I'm running on empty, so my brain's like, this is too much computing power for a glass of water.
Yeah, no, I'll bring the bourbons. Or actually, even better, chocolate hobnobs.
Oh yeah,
nice, elite.
Who doesn't like a chocolate hobnob?
No. I'm quite partial to the Aldi chocolate coated rich tea biscuits.
Yeah,
there's nothing like a chocolate. You used to be able to get them before lockdown, McVitie's ones, and then they disappeared. But Aldi's do them. They're very Moorish, surprisingly so.
No, the thing is, with rich tea, I always thought to myself, a bit like with cereal, you know, when you buy a generic cereal, not Kellogg's, it's never the same. It's never really the same. But it's, you know, but it's like Aldi and Lidl's own rich tea biscuits, not the chocolate ones, but their own ones, are not quite a bit more cardboardy than McVitie's. But the rest of their biscuit range is very nice.
You sampled all of them, I take it.
Anyway, if anyone's listening to this is the paranormal biscuit.
Hey, you've got to have biscuits when you go hunting. It's like you've got to have some form of chocolate when you go hunting. So it's like
we'll do a
What's your favourite paranormal ghost hunting biscuit?
Yeah, we'll do a poll at the end of the live. Find out.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's what we should do. Yeah. Your favourite paranormal biscuit. Yeah, you take on a ghost hunt with you. Yeah, chocolate hobnob would be mine. Yeah.
Perfect.
Right. Has anyone else got anything else to say?
No, I think we've absolutely. But thank you so much for hosting us. And then
hey, no worries. My pleasure.
Next time we'll have another chat.
Yeah. No, that'd be great. And really pleased you made it, Natalie.
Thank you.
And your horse has allowed you.
I've managed an hour, even though I can't hear you properly, but
That's right. The next time the biscuits, definitely. Well, to everyone, thank you very much for tuning in and listening. I hope that you know, it's what we were talking about really was just a great place, full of action, full of activity. I highly recommend it anyway, just to go along and have a coffee and a little nose round. It's a wonderful place to go and visit. Got some very special people there, both living and dead, might I add. But it's been really great for us to be here, having a chat. We just wanted to get some of the experiences and encounters out here. That's also, if anything, so we could chat about them. And it's just been a bonus that you've been here listening, and I hope that, and we all hope that you've taken away something as well. And with that, I shall say good night, and thank you, Natalie, and thank you, Kerry.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, have a good night. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.